All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is actually a video I wanted to make a while ago when I got the car, but either way, better late than never. This is the 10 reasons why I chose the Tesla Model Y. And for reason number one, we'll just talk about the look of the car. This is, of course, I want to get this one over with because it's a very subjective thing. People have their own preferences on what they want their cars to look like. I've always been a fan of hatchbacks. I used to have an 85 Corolla. I have a 92 Civic EG. I used to have another 92 Civic EG, which I got rid of, but I still have one. And then I also used to have a Subaru 2014 WRX wagon. I've always been a fan of the hatchback style types of cars. So when I saw this car, I kind of felt like, well, especially when the Model Y came out, I liked the Model 3, I liked the S, but when a Model Y came out, I just really liked it. It's one of those cars where I like to call timeless. All right, so for reason number two, the main reason why I picked Tesla is because they are a ground up EV company. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, if you're comparing Tesla with something like a legacy auto like GM or Ford, those companies are taking their ICE vehicles or their internal combustion engine vehicles and trying to transform those cars into EV cars versus here Tesla is building it with EV first, EV software first. Everything is built that way and built out. And the reason why there's a big difference there is because you can definitely see a difference with the software, how it performs. It's really built more of like a computer first and a shell or a motor around the computer, where a lot of the other cars are taking the existing shell of a regular car and trying to get it battery powered. And the fact that Tesla is focused around the software, they have tons of updates. There's updates happening almost every couple weeks. And with those updates, a lot of things are getting refined. A lot of things are being updated. Yeah, some things, people might not like, but it's easily updatable and everything is done through a software update. You don't really have to bring your car back into, especially if they have these things, recalls. A lot of the recalls aren't really recalls, they're just more over-the-air software updates, where some of the other cars, their recalls are actually ones you have to bring back to the dealerships. All right, the next one is probably the most obvious one, and that is Tesla has the most robust supercharging network in the United States. Now, when someone's coming from an ICE vehicle or traditional auto over into EV, one of the biggest things that people are thinking about is having that range anxiety. And with Tesla Supercharger Network, especially here, I live in San Diego, I live in California, we have superchargers everywhere, so it definitely helps make you feel a little bit more comfortable when you're hitting the road, knowing that pretty much almost anywhere you go, you're going to be fairly close to a supercharger network. Now, of course, I can't speak for everybody, and wherever you're located, it might be a different situation there, but for the most part, you're more likely going to be able to get your charge while you're on the road. And if you can't even use a Tesla supercharger, the great thing is they now make adapters, so you can still plug into all of the other third-party ones like EVgo, ChargePoint, Electrify America. You're able to charge at those stations as well. The one thing you want to think about too before purchasing an EV is how are you going to charge? I have a charger. I got my charger installed in my garage. It makes it super simple. Every day I just plug it in at night, and in the morning I pretty much have a full tank or a full battery up to about 90% or so, unless I'm taking a road trip. But I never have to worry about not having a charging system, where if you live in maybe like an apartment complex, that's something you really have to think about. Do you want an EV? Because you might be limited on where you could charge. You might always have to go to a supercharger network, where if you have something like a garage and you could tap into one at home, it makes charging super simple. Next reason why I chose a Tesla, and this is actually kind of goes back to when I was younger and when my parents used to purchase cars back when I was a kid, the one big thing that they would look for was safety. So back then, my parents would look for like things like a Volvo or like a Mercedes. They had some of the highest rated safety tests. And as of right now, 2023, actually even the past couple years, Tesla has been ranked, if not ranked, the top or safest cars on the market. And reading all the documentation about Tesla and how they are putting safety as number one, I'm gonna be taking my 3 kids around in the car all the time, so I am always looking at safety. All right, so next reason why I chose this, and this is something that you pretty much have to kind of live with first to really understand it, but it is the minimalistic interior of this car. Now, first I wasn't sure if I would really like it or not. It's literally just a screen right here. There's no buttons. There's only a couple things on your steering wheel. You do have your stalks here. But you don't have everything around. And the one thing I did notice that after driving this car and you jump back into a traditional car is you have this, I don't know, I guess if you think of it as like minimalism, the less things you have around you, like in my home, you start removing things, the less you have to clean, the less you have to worry about, the less you, so in the car, it's very similar. The less you have around, kind of less, it kind of brings down your stress of just consumption, and you're only worried about the screen and a couple things here. Where on a traditional car, there's so many different places to have to deal with or worry about, and here in this car, it's very minimal. It just makes everything really simple. Yeah, there could be some, updates and upgrades here where I feel like they could have changed, but I actually really enjoy having all my controls on the screen. All right, next feature we'll talk about that I really like is Sentry mode, or the security system on this car. Now with the Tesla, what I like is that we do have cameras all the way around the car, but what's great is that you can actually monitor your cameras on your phone. So if you are away from it, you can also check to see now, especially with an update they just did, you can actually log into your phone app and see the interior camera. So if you do have dog mode on, you can actually check in on your dog, check in on anyone that's in the car at the time. And if you want to just see what's around you, you can actually tap in to see the side cameras, the back cameras. So I really like that option, but not just that, with Sentry mode is that it's always recording. So if you do have Sentry mode on and anything were to happen around your car, it is always recording to a hard drive. There's actually a USB thumb drive that comes with the car, but what I did is I upgraded it to a 1 terabyte SSD drive so I can actually record a lot more. But what's great is that you can always be recording. So if you wanted to keep a clip, if somebody walked by your car that might have gotten too close, or your car got keyed, or you got a fender bender or something like that, you can actually trigger it to record just by hitting the horn. All right, next thing we'll talk about is maintenance on the car, or kind of lack thereof maintenance. From what I'm seeing online, of course, there are going to be some things that could possibly go wrong with the car, but as far as basic maintenance goes, compared to a standard car with oil changes, transmission changes, radiator, the most common things as far as maintenance goes is pretty much going to be your washer fluid, as well as your tires, tire rotation. And you don't even have to do your brakes that much because of the fact that you're using regenerative braking, which means you actually aren't physically using the brake pads. You are actually just letting go of the gas, and the motors will actually slow the car down. So when it comes to maintenance, the most things you see is just really the tires, as well as the windshield washer fluid, maybe your wipers, but you don't have all the other things that you normally would have to change on a standard car. All right, next reason why I chose Tesla is mainly because of the maturity of the company. Now, it's definitely something that most people won't really think about. They think, okay, a car company is out there, they've been around forever, they will be around forever. However, as you can see, there is a huge transition over to EVs. There's a lot of newer EV car companies on the market. And in a way, I almost feel like the ground up EV companies do have a little bit better of a chance to make it compared to a lot of these other legacy auto. We have the GMs, the Fords, the VWs. They're gonna have a harder time because as EV ramps up, they're also killing off their ICE vehicles at the same time, which means if they're losing money on ICE and EV is ramping up, and right now, a lot of these companies, their EV cars aren't actually making money, or very, very minimal profits at all, where Tesla's margins are extremely healthy. For me, that is something I think about, because you also want to know, is the company healthy enough to sustain this transition? And not even that, but is the company healthy enough to continuously pour money into the EV space to make sure that they're evolving the product, make sure the software is always updated, and just make sure that they are moving forward as far as production. The one thing I do like about Tesla is that because they are a very healthy and profitable company, they are now opening up more gigafactories because the demand is so high. The way they're able to mass produce these cars now give them a very large margin compared to some of the other autos out there who are actually losing money on their EVs. All right, next reason why I chose a Tesla is their Autopilot and full self-driving system. Now, I currently don't have full self-driving. I actually didn't do the subscription or anything like that yet. All the cars come with the standard Autopilot, so you're able to be on a freeway and switch on Autopilot, and the car will actually stay in its lane and do all of that stuff without full self-driving. The one big difference here with Tesla versus a lot of the other cars is that the hardware and all that software comes on each one of the cars ready to go. So when you first purchase your car, you're gonna have the standard Autopilot, and you have the option to update your car and put full self-driving on it. That's such a big deal compared to a lot of other cars, because if you don't have those options on some of the other EVs, then you're buying a car without that capability, where here you do have those features, which technically is probably worth a lot more money, that you just have to basically unlock. While other cars have something similar to the Autopilot system that Tesla does have, you have to remember too that a lot of this, or pretty much all of this, is based off of data. Tesla has millions of cars on the road collecting data compared to just thousands from some of these other companies. All right, and for the final reason why I picked up this car, and mostly why I picked up the performance model, is because this car is ridiculously fast. Now, I've driven a lot of all-wheel drive cars in the past, and having that off-the-line type of acceleration is one thing. With those cars, this thing takes it to a completely new level. As far as the performance model, you can go 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Just crazy to think that this thing, out of the box, straight from the factory, is this quick. One of the fastest production cars out there. Of course, you also have the plaid versions of the S and the X are faster than that. And you also have, there are a couple other cars that might be a little bit faster, some supercars that are also faster, but you're talking about a family car, 4 doors. I have 3 kids in here, and you could probably accelerate off the line quicker than 95% of the cars on the road. One of the biggest things I love about this thing is when you're going on and off ramps, that instant acceleration. Once you hit the gas, there's no delay like you normally have in a gas car. This thing, once you step on it, it just goes. And there it is, guys. Just want to give you pretty much my opinion, my 10 top things of why I chose the Tesla and the Tesla Model Y. As far as performance goes, safety goes, the speed, acceleration, the autopilot, the software. I mean, everything right now is pretty much just top notch with Tesla. One of the only reasons why I kind of think like people might choose other EVs just in general is because either they have just different preferences as far as how the car looks, especially with these huge discounts that Tesla just had. We are just about almost price parity with ICE cars, and actually cheaper than a lot of the other EVs on the market. So if you're actually putting a lot of the cars side by side as far as specs goes, it's gonna be hard to top this car. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is all my opinion because this is my preference as far as why I chose this car. You guys might have your own, and absolutely all opinions are valid. Just wanted to give you guys my my take on why I picked up the Tesla Model Y. If you guys are currently researching or looking into picking one up, or recently picked one up, what are those 1, 2, or 3 most important things that you guys are looking for in an EV? Let me know those in the comment section down below. If you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. And of course, if you guys want to see a lot more of this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. This is Aljo Stasio, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.